took on new poetic forms and sought a wider audience, and Langston Hughes was at the forefront of that.
James Mercer Langston Hughes was born in Joplin, Missouri on February 1st, 1902.
He wrote a lot about being lonely when he was young, and I think that was a tremendous part of the product of moving around so much.
After graduating high school, Hughes published his first and most famous poem, The Negro Speaks of Rivers.
It is the first poem that celebrates Africa and dignifies the image of Africa in American literature.
The Negro Speaks of Rivers was published in a popular Black journal, and so he was really rather widely read from the beginning. His poetry and his prose actually had access to everyday people.
While studying at Columbia University, Hughes discovered the Harlem art scene, spending hours in jazz and blues clubs, weaving the rhythms of music into his work.
Jazz and blues were great influences on Langston Hughes. He sought to capture the energy and vitality of the music in his poetry.
He was very familiar with the Harlem nightlife. He knew the musicians, and later in his life he would even collaborate with some of the key figures at that time, such as Duke Ellington.
Hughes was a prolific writer and one of the first African-American authors who could support himself through his writing.
Langston Hughes wrote plays. He edited anthologies of poets of African descent across the diaspora. He wrote short stories. One of his most famous series of short stories centers around Jessie B. Simple. These are tales told by a resident of Harlem to an aspiring writer who's a stand-in for Langston Hughes.
He was one of the more widely published of the young poets of the period. He was also among the better connected. He really worked hard to promote the careers of other young writers in Harlem and also throughout the rest of his life. That's also one of his big legacies.
Langston Hughes died of cancer on May 22, 1967. His Harlem residence was given landmark status, a fitting tribute for a legendary writer.
His influence, his ambition as a creative writer, his success, his accessibility. He wrote for the average person. He was not writing for college classrooms. He was not writing for the elite. All of those things, I think, require that we recognize and acknowledge him as a great American literary voice of the 20th century.
Will you get the light? Or Trey, actually. Thank you. Okay, so Langston Hughes was a poet warrior. I want you to turn and talk with your partner. You two are going to be together. Jason, you're going to join this group. You're each going to have 10 seconds. I want you to turn and talk and tell your partner one thing you learned or one thing you thought was interesting that you learned through this video. Go. Okay. Pause. I just realized I didn't tell y'all which one was supposed to go first. You're going to turn and talk with your partner. I want partner A, which is the partner that is closest to the Miss Meekins, this door, to go first. So that's my ladies here, and it's Jason, and then Kyron. You're going to be partner A. Partner A is going to go first. You just have 10 seconds. Say something that struck you in that poem, and then I'll stop you and I'll switch you, or that movie, and I'll switch you over. Go, partner A. All right, partner A, voices off. Partner A, voices off. Partner B, go ahead.
A lot of people say that it was very
All right, voices are off in 3, 2, 1. Voices are off. Now, let's see here. Frankie, what's something that either you learned or your partner said that y'all thought was interesting about Langston Hughes, poet warrior?
Yeah, I said that.
Wait, pause, Frankie. Your eyes should be on Frankie. You should be looking at him. You shouldn't be looking at your paper or messing with your partner. Sit up. All right, Frankie, try again.
He had said that he had wrote poems about being lonely.
Okay, he wrote poems about being lonely. Absolutely. Xavier, what's something else? I can't hear you, and so I know Trey can't because I'm next to him.
I said that
When?
1902.
Nope, I want Xavier to do this. We're practicing our strong voice. 1902. Thank you, Xavier. And Tyree, last word. What is something that you learned?
I learned how the Mexican youth can be a man by himself. And
Pause. What do you mean by that? What do you mean he's a man by himself?
like how young boys is right now having girlfriends. He ain't had that. And like
So, wait. If you disagree, show that you disagree. If you're confused, raise your hand and you can ask Tyree a question. But let Tyree finish. Clavon, it's a BB. Voices are off and you're tracking Tyree. Sorry, Tyree, go ahead.
and how you wrote that. And he was fighting for black people and wrote that. Negro.
Okay. Xavier, did you have something you wanted to ask him? Okay, go ahead. And then you, Treyon.
What are you talking about Langston Hughes?
You don't know? You don't want to say anything? So she's a little confused, Tyree. Let's see if Treyon can help you clear that up. Go ahead, Trey. But wait for your respect. Kendall, awesome job tracking.
Your top.
I know.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyways, what does him having a girlfriend got to do with him being a man? And what does that have to do with him in the poetry that we're talking about?
Awesome. I love how we're going to leave it there. We're going to leave it there. And that's something I want you to think about, right? Like, what does it have to do with it? Not really much, okay? Thank you, Trey, for clearing that up for us. All right, let's move on. Turn to page 17.
You better watch this.
Turn to page 17. Turn to page 17. I've got almost 100%. I'm waiting on 2 scholars to get to page 17. Page 17, I know you just got back in here. Page 17. Awesome. Okay. All eyes should be on page 17. I want you listening to my voice. We are going to listen to a poem by Langston Hughes called Night Funeral in Harlem. Harlem is a neighborhood in New York City. And we're going to listen to someone read this poem out loud. So the first time, I just want you listening. I just want you listening to the poem. I want you listening to how it's being read. Then we're going to listen to it a second time, and I want you annotating for the theme the second time. But this first listen, what are you doing, Tyree? This first listen. Yep. Are you writing anything?
No.
Nope. Are we annotating anything?
No, but
Okay.
yeah.
No, not the first time. Clavon, tell me your instructions for the first listen.
You listening, not advocating, and something else and something else.
Listening, not annotating, that pretty much sums it up. Did you have another question, Tyree?
Yeah.
Go
In the
ahead.
text, I see Night Funeral in Harlem, like 4 times.
What about it? You see repetition? Okay, good. That's something you're going to be listening for. All right. We're not going to turn the lights off because it's not. You don't need to see it. You just need to hear it.
He did not pay. His insurance lapsed the other day.
Hang on, sorry.
Yet they got a satin box for him.
That's on top of that.
Okay. All right, sorry guys. Eyes on your paper. You should be following along. I will be circulating, looking for people following along. If you're not, there is going to be a consequence.
Night funeral in Harlem. Where did they get them two fine cars? Insurance man, he did not pay. His insurance lapsed the other day. Yet they got a satin box for his head to lay. Night funeral in Harlem. Who was it sent that wreath of flowers? them flowers came from that poor boy's friends. They'll want flowers too when they meet their ends. Night funeral in Harlem. Who preached that black boy to his grave? Old preacher man preached that boy away, charged $5 his girlfriend had to pay. Night funeral in Harlem. When it was all over and the lid shut on his head and the organ had done played and the last prayers been said, and 6 pallbearers carried him out for dead, and off down Lenox Avenue that long black hearse done sped. The streetlight at his corner shined just like a tear. That boy that they was mourning was so dear to them folks that brought the flowers, to that girl who paid the preacher man. It was all their tears that made that poor boy's funeral grand. Night funeral in Harlem.
Okay. I want you, this time partner B is gonna go first. And I want you to turn with your partner. And I want you just to tell your partner what your reaction was. Just your initial reaction to this poem. So partner B is gonna go first. You're gonna have 30 seconds. And then I'm gonna stop you, then partner A. Partner A, you're listening. If partner B finishes early, you ask them questions. You don't just sit there and stare at each other. You ask questions. Then when it's your turn, you say what was interesting or what your first impression was. And then partner B, you'll ask questions. So partner B, you're going first. So it's this side. Click on. This side. Jason, I want you to come here with Tyree. Trayon. I'll come talk to you. All right, partner B. Go. Partner B. Talk about it. I want you. Cameron's fine. Go. Okay. Go talk to him. He's going to be the first person to talk to
I said, I gave you points. I gave you points about
All right, partner A. Partner B, stop. Partner A, go. Why? So, do you want to go get some water? Okay, what do you think?
I feel sad, but the way the poem is speaking, it feels kind of sad. Because he was like, dead people, dead dad.
All right. Voices are off in 5, 4. Here you go, Kendall. 3, 2. Oh wow, you beat me. Excellent. Jason, I want you to turn around and go back to your desk. Okay.
Can you come right here?
Yes. That's a good idea, Terry. Thank you. Okay. This second time we're listening. Well, first of all, let me ask a question. Your hand is going to be raised, and I'm going to take strong, silent hands to answer this question. Who died? Who died in this poem? Xavier. Nope, it's not Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes is what? Langston Hughes is what to this poem? He's what? Wait, pause. Look, my finger is pointing to Kyron, so Kyron has the floor right now. Your voices are off and you're tracking Kyron. Tyree, excellent job. Pen should be down and you should be tracking Kyron while he speaks. Okay, who's Langston Hughes? He's the poet. He's the person who wrote this poem. So he is not necessarily in this poem. So no, he is not the person who died. Who died, Paris?